All right, Brett's song. Brett, what was your song?
My song is called Do I Know You? And the goal is, like most of my songs, I have it be like a pop song that has substance and has, some kind of depth to it, and like songwriting detail and skill that's makes it different than just a top 40 pop song. And I guess it'd be about like, it's kind of an exaggeration on a feeling that I had one time during quarantine, where just like me and my wife had spent and still spend like all this time together. Even when we're not trying to spend time together, we're spending time together. And there's just like one time, I think we both had at the same time, I just had this weird perspective. I was like, who the fuck is this person I just spent all this time with? And I like think out loud, and they're like, just like, there's no boundaries anymore. And then I like was transported to being like, a 12-year-old or something. And I just totally had this time shift. And then I came back to my current self and was like, this is weird, man. There's this one person who I do all this shit with. I don't even know who they are. So that's the kind of origin of the song.
Do you have like a full version of the song? Because I think the one that I got was just like a verse chorus section, and then the verse chorus section a different way. Yeah, no,
it's not done. And I think the issue that I probably want to hear your take on too is, initially, I'm going to get my guitar. It's like, initially the chorus was not the chorus that I have in the demo I sent you. It was like, I don't know how I don't know how much I should play of this, but there's like the verse part, and then it does some chord changes. And then what I thought was the chorus was this, and every now and then I look at your face and think, do I know you? And how did we get to this place? And I even like repeated it twice. And when that first demo came out with that, Shane was like, that sounds like a pre-chorus. And then from there, I tried to write a chorus treating that as the pre-chorus. And I'm still kind of in between that. The chorus I wrote, I think it's just pretty mediocre. Like, it's fine, but it's like not, I don't think it's bulletproof, is the term, to use your term. So I guess you can talk about that too, of whether or not you think the part that starts with I guess it'd be a B minor, if that can work as a chorus, or if that is a pre-chorus in your mind. And
can you play that section going into the chorus, or the second chorus?
Yeah, every now and then I look at your face and think, do I know you? And how did we get to this place? You turn into a stranger sometimes. It's hard enough for me to open up when we talk. That's it, yeah.
So, for this song, and I almost did it, I kind of almost did the same thing with Jana's later. I think it might help to not look at it as like verse, pre-chorus, chorus, and just look at it as A, B, C, and because I think there's something special about the B minor section, and I think you could almost treat that as like a false chorus. So if you want to do like a verse and that, and then go back to verse 2 and that, and then hit this almost like it's a bridge, but it lifts like it's a chorus, or it's like a second chorus. It's something like Beatlesy that they would do, where they would just be like, not necessarily traditional verse, chorus, bridge parts. They're just like 3 really good song sections that they piece together the way that works the best. I think that chorus is great, though. I don't think it's mediocre.
Well, thanks.
That was something that I brought up too, was that, so when I first heard the song, the B minor section was twice in a row and the lyrics changed.
Can I just play that quick so Holden knows what?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the first demo that I sent, and this is what Shane responded to. Like the B minor section would be like, and Every now and then I look at your face and think, do I know you? And how did we get to this place? Every now and then I look at myself. I thought the future was taking me somewhere else. And then I would go into it like a second verse.
Right. So a cool thing to do with that would be to play the verse, do that the long time, like the longer version first. Go back to a verse, fuck with people and do a fake out and do the short version and then go right into that third section. Like a lot of songwriting is just figuring out like, all right, how to take the blocks that are super symmetrical and throw it off a little bit and either chop off a piece so it's 3 instead of 4 or 7 instead of 8, or to tilt it on its side a little bit so that you're propelling the song forward or pumping the brakes on people so it's not always what they expect to happen. And I think that would be super interesting because that long section is cool and it's different lyrically. And then you build the expectation that it's going to be the same the second time, and then you fuck with people and you make it different. And I think that would be cool as one option you could do.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Go
ahead, Gabby.
I was just gonna say that Adam Neely did a video about this where he was talking about like this, like symmetry, the combination of the symmetry and then something surprising is like kind of the formula for making something catchy. So like repeating something and then changing the last couple of notes. So it's like that familiarity is there, but so is something that hooks you and keeps you wanting to hear the song more.
There's a thing that I was struggling with like what the if we did treat that as a pre-chorus, why I was having issues is it's like what chord the chorus wants to start on then. So like we have the verse that starts on a D major and goes through kind of all these changes. You have what we're calling the pre-chorus is that B minor part. Mm-hmm. And then it's like, if you were to go to a chorus and you wanted like a sense of arrival, going back to the D sounds like, it just felt like the verse to me. And then also doing the chorus that starts with the B minor felt like I couldn't pick between the two parts. Like, oh, I have both of these B minor parts and I want to keep them in there, but it did feel like a little redundant. So then what was left was this A major, which is what I did use in the demo you heard, but there's something about it that just sounds like a bridge to me, and it sounded like a bridge to Shane. I think it kind of sounded like a bridge to you, or like it could be a chorus bridge type thing. And maybe that's what it just doesn't have. It has this. It doesn't have the sense of like this is the chorus kind of thing. It has like this is the interesting-ish part kind of vibe.
I don't think that's a bad thing though. That's another thing. Your expectation is what, to start a chorus on like the 1 or the 4 or the 6, but you can, if you start a chorus on a 5, that's cool. Like it doesn't need to. The chorus, if you look at it as its function in the song, is supposed to lift, and then it's supposed to be like the summation of whatever the rest of the song's about lyrically, and then melodically it's supposed to be catchy. Going to the 5 automatically lifts. Like that's what I said even before you were saying that. Like, so it serves the function of a chorus where it's propelling the momentum of the song forward and it's lifting it and highlighting, and you do it with your melody again, just like Gabby did, where you go up for it. So it has all the elements of a chorus. It doesn't have the ta-da, like 1 chord or whatever it is. But I don't think that's a bad thing.
I think there's something, I think all the stuff it seems like you're just putting out that there's a lot of options and there's a lot of ways I could do, which in some ways is awesome to hear. And in other ways I'm like, fuck, I want you to just tell me what to do. I just want the right answer. But even add another like option there's something interesting or like that makes the B minor part hit different when you kind of let it hang there, which I don't think I've done yet. So it'd be like, every now and then I look at your face. Think, do I know you? How did we get to this place? Da, 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 da. And then going into the verse again, like I think how I've treated it the first few times is like building up to something. But if you just kind of let it hang there, it does something else, which is like a really subtle change. But I think it changes the feeling about it. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, that's another one of those. You're still messing with it. You're pumping the brakes. Like you're making people linger a little bit longer in this unresolved place before you either take them to the chorus or the verse. But I like that, and I would do that with. I don't know if were you doing that with the shortened version or the long version.
I would do it with the short. Like if I had to pick right now, I would go first verse, do the short version, and let it hang. Have people be like, "What's he gonna do?" Go back to the second verse. Then I would do the B minor part with the two versions, and then hit the thing that we're calling the chorus or the bridge. And I don't see a need. I mean, I guess maybe you even just said you don't need that to be like a repeating chorus, right? I mean, can that just be like a bridge type thing that kind of sounds like a chorus and that just happens one time?
Sure. I mean, that's just something you got to mess with when you're demoing it. And I would demo it a couple ways and do it. If in my brain, I'm thinking it's probably if you're going to build up to it and go into the chorus, the next time you play that B minor section, you're going to want to go into that afterwards, probably. Like your impulse is probably going to want to go to that next section. I think it'll probably sound a little weird because you're building into it, like you layer verse, short B section, verse, longer B section into the C section, and then you're going to come back to it eventually, probably at least to the B section, and it might work without doing the C afterwards, but it might just naturally want to go back to it. So, I'm not thinking of it as a chorus. It's just a song section that's cool.
I can also hear that lingering be like almost being the end of the song.
Right.
You know, like that's how you kind of end it, but it's up to you.
Yeah, I definitely think the third time you do the B section, it should linger like that. And then whether or not it goes back to the A major section or just let it sit there is something we'd have to demo. Because I think both would work. It just would mean kind of different things. One is more unresolved, and the other is, do you want to give the audience the big part? You know, I don't know.
How does the C part resolve at the end?
It would need, okay, so it does end on a D major, which is the same starting note as the verse. So I think I'd have to do some like intermediary or transition part to get back into a verse if I were to do it that way. I don't know if that's answering your question. Your answer, yes.
How many verses do you have?
Right now, I'd be thinking 2.
So if you're trying to make the most out of the parts that are already there, you could do verse, or A section, B section, A section, B section, then do the C, and then you could resolve it to the minor and do like an instrumental B section, hit the C section again, end it on the B section. So then you never go back to a verse.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about resolving like the D and then figuring out how to get back to the verse. You just resolve it on the B minor, run that a couple times, hit the C again, and then end on the B section.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. So like then you don't have to figure out how to get back into the...
Yeah, I mean, that's like a Smiths thing. Like they have like a couple verses and then go to a totally different section of the song and never revisit what they did before. And it's just like, but it flows and it works.
But we'd be revisiting the B minor section, right?
Right.
So it's not totally disconnected from what was happening before. It's just disconnected from the verses, which is fine to me.
Right.
Yeah, cool. I think that's super helpful. And I think it's useful to like not be so rigid in terms of like, what is the chorus? The chorus needs to be like this thing. What is the, like, that's how I think of it. Like the chorus needs to be this arrival, this like hallelujah moment. And I don't know, I think there's a limit to that. And this song is really the first one that I've faced that with. You know, it's like all the other ones had a clear chorus and this one wanted something else, but I don't know if that's a chorus and I don't think we need to know, right?
Well, I think it sounds like you're subconsciously just like feeling that it's different than the other stuff. And I think that's making you a little insecure that it's different, but that's a good place to be. You don't like, if you get formulaic with your own shit, then you're going to get bored and you're going to write the same song 10 times. Like, and so if you're coming up with something that's like, oh, this is making me uncomfortable, this is a little weird, like I'm treading water or whatever, that's a good place to be. Like, if once you say something once, you don't need to say it again. So if you start all your choruses a certain way or start all your verses a certain way, like, you're going to eventually get bored. And if you're bored with the stuff you're making, the people who are listening to it are going to get bored with it. So if you're uncomfortable with stuff, that's good. A little discomfort is not a bad thing.
Basically, I think another reason why this C section that starts with A major is unsatisfying to me as a chorus is because it's like more wordy than a typical pop chorus. And wordy might be too harsh, but I think I was looking for something that was like a few words like this.
Yeah.
The same words again, like this. And that would be the chorus. And it's not really like that. For some reason, it just came out as a little more wordy. Do you think that's an issue, or is that fine too?
I think again, it's fine. I think what you're going for in between whatever the song sections are, whether the verses or choruses or bridges, is contrast. And so if it feels different musically and lyrically, and whether it's more wordy or less wordy, it's just supposed to feel different. And as long as it does, it's fine. And it doesn't really matter how you get there. If it's more wordy and it doesn't follow the typical chord changes that your choruses do, that's okay. It just has to be different and take somebody to a different place.
So something I'll bring up is that something I've identified with Brett songs, and in particular, a lot of Brett's releases actually up until the last song that he's working on, not this song, but he has another song called Make You Move. But Brett has a tendency to, it's like the bridge part is the biggest part of the song. It's almost like the whole song is building up to this epic bridge part that happens. I think this happens in Catastrophe. It happens in Becoming. And it might happen I think it happens in Heartlight too. Yeah. So it's like, those are like the last three songs they did. It happens in all three of those songs where it's, and I've brought up before of trying to make the chorus the biggest part. But I think experimenting with other arrangements, like what you're saying, Holden, by doing the AB, ABC, BC thing, that kind of it gives you a recurrence of the big part, which would be the C part. So it gives the listener a chance to hear it one more time for satisfaction, almost like a chorus, but it's different enough that it creates a unique kind of song structure. I don't have any questions. I'm just talking. But what do you guys think of, I guess my thing is, what do you think of that? Anyone?
Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's like almost like repeating the bridge once, but I think the label is what's getting us all kind of weird. If you have one of those C sections, it's a bridge, but if you have two of them, like, what is it? I don't know. It's like just a different part.
I think that like if you have like a verse refrain song like Yesterday, like the Beatles song, the bridge repeats, like, and so you have your verse is usually two or three parts. It's the first part, then like a setup line, and then the refrain, and then it's the verse, the setup line, the refrain, and then a bridge usually goes back to the verse and then back to the bridge at the end. And like not being super rigid with the song sections is fine. Like, especially like in one or two words, how would each of you describe your genre?
Indie pop.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Janice's Galadriel pop.
Yeah.
We
Cinematic singer-songwriter, kind of?
Yeah. I was going to say singer-songwriter, but it's not like folk singer-songwriter.
Sure.
It's like, yeah.
I don't know. What is like Marika Hackman and like I don't know, like pop rock.
Okay. But it's like nobody's
rock
nobody's
with
trying to
pop
be top
sensibility.
40. Yeah. Okay. But like nobody's trying to break like the Hot 100 with their songs, so they don't have to be super formulaic pop songs. And a lot of times, what I found, and something that I struggle with in my own music, is you get penalized for being formulaic if you're left of center and you're trying to appeal to a niche audience. If you're submitting to like a alternative or indie pop rock folk blog, and your songs are like verse chorus bridge chorus, that usually counts as points against you. Like if you're a left of center artist, your song should be a little left of center. And if you look at the people who are successful and have loyal audiences and all that kind of stuff, they usually have something quirky that they do. So if Brett's bridges are his thing, then like Brett's known for his bridges. Like that's part of what makes his stuff unique. So I wouldn't get hung up on song section labels, and I wouldn't get hung up on feeling weird about songs not having typical structures. They're supposed to have weird ones. Like that's okay.
I think something that everyone struggles with is that when you're an established artist, it's okay to take chances and people will listen to your songs and they'll listen to weird arrangements. But when you're not established and you have basically like 10 to 20 seconds to catch and keep a listener, is it better to lean on something more expected and to try to show off who you are in kind of a framework that's more comfortable? And by comfortable, I guess you could say rote, or is it just better to just be yourself right off the bat? And if people don't listen to it, then that's okay. In terms of how to connect with, how to be efficient at connecting with the most amount of people, I guess. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
What I'm saying to anyone or asking about?
I personally think that the formularity, formulaicness is not something that like plays into that. I think like a lot of that comes down to like having like something catchy, a good hook, or something rhythmically that hooks you. I don't think that the structure of the song is necessarily what's like to an average listener what's gonna throw them off. If it's more gonna be like if they don't hear anything interesting or unique or whatever. Just my thoughts.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I would agree. You can have a song that's got a really interesting structure, but if it's a shit song, nobody's gonna listen to it.
Right.
It's got to be catchy. It's got to have all the good elements of a good song. I would say if you were on a first date with somebody and you were pretending to be somebody else because you knew that it was going to work for one date, is that relationship going to last? Like if you're trying to get real fans and a real audience, you might as well be the full version of yourself, warts and all, right up front, and all the shit that makes you unique and that makes you not fit with other people's tastes or whatever. Because then if they like it, at least they like it for you, and they're not like going to your Spotify and finding all your other songs that sound totally different and that aren't whatever you just gave them in 20 seconds. Mm-hmm. So I would find the things that make you unique and then lean into them. That's hard. That's what everybody's trying to do. But hopefully you find what makes you unique, and then hopefully people like it. Those are two different things.
But like, not to be a devil's advocate, but I guess I'm devil's advocate here. It's like, are there some things like, let's take this first date analogy. What if I showed up and it's like, yeah, bro, I'm abusive. What's up? And it's like, say you said that to your girl, like that's something, yeah, you're going to show who you are, but like, isn't that something you should be working on, and you should be like trying to change and fix and like not sharing?
A lot of people still like Marilyn Manson, man.
Okay, this analogy didn't work. I'm trying to say like there's some things that you should like work on to be a better person in a relationship.
I think maybe we can take what Brett's saying and actually speak to Brett and say, if Brett showed up to his first date talking about Atlantis, would he actually get a second date? Or does he want to kind of hold Atlantis in his back pocket until his first date sees that he's charming enough to put up with that he's like really into Atlantis?
Okay, I think that my opinion on this is that you should lead with Atlantis, because then eventually the girl who is also into Atlantis is going to be like, heck yeah, I really like you. And so, if you translate that over to songwriting, if you're going to have your brand or whatever, even if it's like, there's some fucking out there shit that people are really into. They really like it. And, they genuinely are into it for whatever reason. So I don't know. I would lead with Atlantis. That's just me, though.
I agree. I think there's two different things, though. Like, Atlantis is what you love, and it's unique and quirky and whatever. But Atlantis is like, I think like the equivalent of being an abusive asshole is the equivalent of like, I didn't spend enough time making this song as good as it could be. Like, I am not working on my craft. That's being an asshole, because you're putting stuff out there that's unintentionally bad and quirky, and not like, this is what I do well, and I'm just comfortable with it. And it's also, again, you have to know who you are and who your audience is. Are you trying to like hook up with somebody? Because then you could be fake for that first date, go home, get laid, and then find somebody else. Like,
let's isolate that clip and play it all over the internet. And be like,
but if you're trying to
Laurence
find like a long-term lasting relationship with your fans, then I think you got to be yourself.
Yeah. No, I think that's well put. And that's a good distinction of like quirky for what reasons, being an asshole because you are, that's just quirky and that's who you are, being an asshole because like you have some stuff you didn't work on.
Yeah.